If she does this with her hands, you have seconds, not weeks. And if you hesitate, another man will finish the story you were too afraid to start. Listen to me carefully. I'm not here to flatter you. I'm here to wake you up. Most men think attraction is loud. They think if she likes you, she'll announce it with words, with obvious flirting, with neon signs flashing above her head. But women don't choose that way. We choose quietly. We signal subtly, and the strongest signals are never spoken. They're shown. Her hands will tell you before her mouth ever does. When a woman is emotionally and physically drawn to you, her hands begin to betray her restraint. She'll find reasons to touch you, not accidentally, not randomly, but deliberately disguised as casual. A hand on your forearm when she laughs, fingers lingering on your chest just a second too long, adjusting your collar when it didn't need adjusting, brushing imaginary lint off your jacket. That isn't friendliness, that's invitation. You see, touch is risk. Women are selective about who we allow into our physical space. If she's crossing that invisible boundary with you, she has already evaluated you. She has already decided you're safe, desirable, worth the gamble. And here's the part most men ruin. They freeze, they overthink, they analyze, they wait for a clearer sign. There isn't one. When her hands start speaking, she's testing your leadership. She's asking, without words, are you bold enough to meet me here? Attraction has a window. It opens, it waits, then it closes. If she's tracing circles on your palm while you're talking, if her fingers intertwine with yours instead of pulling away, if she keeps her hand resting on your thigh instead of retreating, that is not casual affection. That is escalation permission. She has already chosen you in that moment. But women don't want to choose for you. We want you to step forward. We want to feel your certainty, your calm dominance, your ability to read the energy and move with it. When you hesitate, something shifts inside us. The tension turns into confusion. The chemistry cools. The fantasy we built about you, the confident man who takes initiative, begins to crumble. And once that fantasy cracks, it rarely rebuilds the same way. This isn't about being reckless. This isn't about forcing anything. It's about awareness, emotional intelligence, knowing when her body language is aligned with her energy, when her hands are relaxed around you, when she initiates physical closeness, when she doesn't pull away from contact but deepens it. That is green light energy. And if you lean in, if you pause, hold her gaze, let the silence thicken, and then move slowly, confidently, you won't be stealing a kiss. You'll be accepting one she already offered. The truth no one told you. Women crave decisive men, not aggressive, not arrogant, decisive. When she does this with her hands, she's not asking for a committee meeting in your head. She's asking you to feel the moment, and if you don't, someone else will. Here's what you don't understand yet. When she starts playing with her hands around you, she's not nervous. She's regulating desire. Watch closely. If she slowly runs her fingers through her own hair while holding eye contact, that's self-soothing, mixed with attraction. If she traces the rim of her glass while staring at your lips, she's imagining something. If she places her hand near yours on the table, close enough to touch but not touching, she's creating tension on purpose. That tension is the bridge. Women don't escalate the way men do. We escalate emotionally first, physically second. By the time her hands are involved, the decision has already been made internally. She has pictured what it would feel like if you leaned in. She has imagined your confidence. She has rehearsed the moment in her head, and now she's watching to see if you can read her. When her fingers lightly tap your arm while she speaks, that's investment. When she absent-mindedly draws shapes on your palm, that's comfort mixed with curiosity. When she squeezes your hand instead of releasing it quickly, that's acceptance. But here's where you lose. You start asking logical questions in your head. What if she's just friendly? What if I misread this? What if I ruin it? Let me tell you something no one tells men. Women rarely touch men. They are not attracted to. We protect our space fiercely. If she's inviting you into it repeatedly, she's giving you access most men never get, and attraction fades when it isn't met. A woman wants to feel that you are present, not calculating. She wants to see that you feel the shift in energy. When her hands slide into yours, and she doesn't break eye contact, she's not waiting for you to request written permission. She's waiting for you to step into your role. Confidence in these moments isn't loud, it's slow, it's controlled. It's you lowering your voice slightly, holding her gaze a second longer, moving just close enough that she can feel your breath change. If she stays, if her hands tighten instead of pulling away, you already know the answer. And here's the truth that stings. Women lose attraction for men who hesitate at the peak of tension, because hesitation feels like insecurity, and insecurity kills polarity. You don't need to rush, you don't need to grab, you need to lead. If her hand rests on your chest and she leaves it there, she's feeling your heartbeat. She's syncing with you. That is intimacy forming in real time. The worst thing you can do is laugh it off, make a joke, break the tension, because it feels intense. Intensity is the point. When she does this with her hands, she's not confused. She's brave. She's risking vulnerability. She's saying, "I'm here. Are you?" And a man who understands that doesn't freeze. He responds, not desperately, not aggressively, decisively. There's a moment right before a kiss happens that most men completely miss. It's silent, it's charged, and it lives in her hands. When she slowly slides her fingers between yours and doesn't look away, that's not casual. When her thumb begins to trace the back of your hand, absent-mindedly, while the conversation fades, she's no longer focused on what you're saying. She's focused on how you feel. That shift is everything. Attraction builds in layers: words, eye contact, proximity. But touch is the gateway. And once she willingly opens that door, she is testing whether you can walk through it like a man who belongs there. If her hands move from playful to still, if she stops fidgeting and just lets them rest on you, chest, shoulder, waist, that stillness is surrender to the moment. Women become still when they want to be claimed by the energy, not chased by chaos. And here's where you have to understand something deeper. Women don't want to beg for a kiss. We don't want to spell it out. The magic disappears when we have to lead you to the obvious. The reason she uses her hands is because it's subtle, feminine, inviting without demanding. When she softly presses her palm against your chest and leaves it there, she's checking your presence. Are you grounded? Are you steady? Or are you shaking inside? If you remain calm, if your breathing slows instead of quickens, if you hold eye contact and allow the silence to stretch just a little longer, you create polarity. Polarity creates heat. Heat creates the moment. And in that moment, if you lean in slightly, not fully, just enough, and she doesn't retreat, you already have your answer. Women rarely stay in close proximity to a man they don't want to kiss. Distance is our safety switch. If she doesn't activate it, it means she feels secure. Security plus tension equals desire. But when you stall, when you suddenly check your phone, crack a joke, or shift the topic because you're afraid of being wrong, you collapse the tension she worked to build. And once tension collapses, it's hard to rebuild without feeling forced. You have to trust the rhythm. When her fingers lightly grip your shirt fabric, when she pulls you half an inch closer without even realizing she did it, that's instinct. And instinct doesn't lie. She has already imagined the kiss. The only question now is whether you're confident enough to make it real. Understand this clearly. Decisive does not mean aggressive. It means attentive. It means you read her body language, her breathing, her eye contact. It means you move slowly enough that she can choose to meet you halfway. If she does, that kiss was never yours to steal. It was yours to accept. Miss that window, and something subtle changes. She may not show it immediately. She may still smile, still talk, but inside she recalibrates. She wonders if you lack courage, if you lack awareness, if the fantasy she built about you was wrong. And once a woman questions your decisiveness, attraction doesn't grow, it shrinks. So when her hands speak, listen, because they're saying more than her words ever will. You need to understand something most men never realize until it's too late. When a woman escalates with her hands, she is stepping out of her comfort zone first. She is risking rejection. Yes, even the confident ones. When she rests her hand on your thigh and lets it stay there, she's not being random. She's measuring your reaction. When her fingers slowly slide up your arm while she's laughing, she's checking your emotional temperature. When she cups your face briefly during a playful moment and doesn't immediately pull away, she's offering vulnerability. And vulnerability is never casual. Women don't crave men who sit back and wait for guaranteed outcomes. We crave men who can feel the current in the room and move with it. A man who understands tension doesn't need instructions. Because here's the hidden truth. Attraction peaks in moments of uncertainty. When her hand lingers at the back of your neck, When her fingers press into your palm as if she's grounding herself, she's building anticipation. She's asking you, without words, to take the emotional lead, not to dominate her, but to guide the moment forward. If you smile nervously and redirect the energy, you send one silent message: I don't trust myself here. And the second that message lands, something inside her withdraws. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly, she will still talk to you. She may still flirt, but the intensity will soften, the spark will dim, and she'll begin to wonder if you're the kind of man who waits for life instead of stepping into it. When a woman wants to be kissed, her body aligns with that desire. Her shoulders relax, her movements slow, her hands explore with subtle confidence. She'll face you fully. She'll stay close enough that your knees touch. She'll hold eye contact longer than necessary. That's alignment, and alignment is rare. You have to recognize the difference between politeness and pull. Politeness is quick contact, pull is lingering touch. Politeness is light tapping, pull is fingers that stay connected. Politeness creates space, pull removes it. If her hands repeatedly remove the space between you, she's not confused. She's decided, and when she decides, she wants to feel your decision meet hers. This is where masculinity shows, not in loud words, not in forced moves, but in calm execution, in you placing your hand over hers confidently, in you stepping closer without breaking eye contact, in you lowering your voice instead of raising it. If she stays in that space, if her breathing deepens instead of quickens in panic, if her hands tighten slightly instead of slipping away, you already know what she wants. The tragedy isn't rejection, the tragedy is hesitation. Because when you hesitate in a moment she carefully built, you don't just miss a kiss. You miss the version of you she was ready to experience. And once that version fades, she doesn't always wait for you to rediscover it. Let me leave you with the truth. Most men learn years too late. A woman rarely regrets a kiss that felt aligned, but she often regrets choosing a man who didn't have the courage to choose her back. When she uses her hands to close the distance, she's stepping into vulnerability. She's lowering her guard. She's allowing herself to feel anticipation instead of control. And in that fragile electric space, she wants to feel your steadiness. If her fingers slide slowly from your wrist to your hand and stay there, if she gently pulls you closer by your jacket, if her palm rests against your chest and she looks up at you without breaking eye contact, that is not random chemistry. That is consent wrapped in subtlety. But here's the final layer most men miss. It's not just about the kiss, it's about leadership. When you recognize the moment and move with calm certainty, when you pause, read her eyes, lean in slowly enough for her to meet you halfway, you're showing emotional intelligence. You're showing that you can handle intensity without panicking. That's attractive far beyond one night. When you don't move at all, when you hesitate repeatedly, you don't appear respectful, you appear unsure. And unsure feels unstable. Women are drawn to grounded energy, to a man who can hold tension without dissolving under it. The kiss itself is only a symbol. The real test is whether you can trust your instincts. If she keeps her hands intertwined with yours while the conversation fades, if the silence grows heavier but she doesn't step back, if her body stays aligned with yours instead of angled away, that's your moment. You don't lunge, you don't ask awkwardly. You slow down, you hold her gaze, you move close enough that she can feel the decision forming. And if she closes the gap too, even slightly, you seal it, because she already chose you. And here's what no one tells you. Women feel safest with men who can read the room, men who don't need flashing signs, men who understand that attraction is a dance, not a debate. Miss enough of these moments, and she will stop offering them. Not because she didn't want you, but because she felt you didn't want her enough to act. So I want you to ask yourself something honestly. How many times have you felt the tension, seen the signs, felt her hands linger, and still waited until the moment disappeared? How many opportunities have you lost because you needed certainty instead of courage? Tell me in the comments. Have you ever hesitated and watched the energy fade? Or did you step forward and own the moment? If this opened your eyes, like the video, subscribe, and share it with a man who keeps overthinking instead of acting. He needs to hear this. Because sometimes when she does this with her hands, it's not a question, it's your move.